In today's lesson, we're going to go ahead and begin by showing you how to start modeling an organic body feature. We're going to stick with the hand. The hand's one of the most commonly animated features of the body. What you can see is I took a photograph of my hand, or I scanned it in, pulled it into Illustrator, and just traced it. And the reason why we want to do that is it's going to be a lot easier for us to physically go in and draw a hand if we have a model to follow. I'm going to go ahead and maximize that viewport, and I'm going to be working in this viewport for a good bit of my lesson. We're going to begin by creating a box down here at the base of the palm, and it's very difficult to see the part because my model is white on the white background. So you could go and invert this image in Photoshop, making the black background. But here in a few seconds when I click off, you're going to see that that box represents the area down at the base of the palm. Now we need to select back on that shape, and we're going to add some segments. So I'm going to go ahead and say we'll leave length segments at 1, we'll do width at 5, and height at 3. We'll see how that works. So when you look down here and we zoom in, you have 5 segments here that separate this box. And the reason why we're doing that is because eventually when we add to this model, there's we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. We have a point here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that 6 is going to be over here. Okay, so we're going to manipulate this box to fill this hand. Before I begin any further, and don't worry about the thickness at this point, we're going to work just from one view. We can go and alter the other view in a moment. But I'm going to select on the box, and I'm going to apply the Edit Mesh command. Once I select the Edit Mesh command, I can click Vertex, and that gives me all these points. So I don't want to move any points beyond this line because we're going to extend from here up. So I'm going to drag a window around. Now don't click just one, drag the window. Because right now in the top view we only see one vertex, but truthfully there are 3 vertices stacked on top of each other, and we need to move all 3. So I'm going to click and slide that over using my gizmo, using the X on my gizmo to line it up with the hand. And I'm going to drag this one over here, lining that up with the hand. Do the same on the outside until I hit the hand, and I'm going to slide this one in just a little bit. Now I can also bring this up and move these, but again I'm clicking and dragging a window around all of them. It's important, we're not going to get it perfect here, but what we do want to do is make sure that these lines all stay straight. If not, our hand mesh is going to come out crooked. Now we're also going to try to use the grooves in the hand here to model. So I'm going to click and drag this one over so that it's actually lined up with the crease in my hand. Drag this one over here and this one there. Don't worry about this one over here. We're going to eventually, this is going to work its way up through the palm towards the thumb. Now we can't really see the box, so we can go and click on that, change it to smooth and highlights. Now we see a solid box, but we can't see through to actually determine if we're on the line or not. So select the box again, right click, and in its object properties we want to go ahead and select. So once you select the object properties, you're going to go ahead and pick see-through. Hit OK. Now the solid object is there that we can see is lining up with the hand, but it's also we can see through it, so we can see what's going on. So go ahead and change the smooth and highlights to edged faces. That'll give us both the edges and that. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump back out into my perspective view. And what you're going to notice here is we have this extended hand. Now mine looks actually like it is going through that you can see through it, but in all honesty, that's because of my property. So don't worry about that at this point. But I am going to go into my polygon mode, click on the inside line here of the hand, hold Control, and select all of the faces on that portion of the hand. Now we can use the perspective view here, but notice in the top view you can only see a straight line. So don't worry about that. Now what we want to do is we want to extrude a face, or a series of faces. So we can come down to our menu and you'll see the word extrude. For this first part, we're going to click and hold on the arrow. Don't just keep clicking the arrow and clicking the arrow. You want to hold down on it as it extrudes. And we're going to watch it until it gets up to a certain point, and then we'll stop it. Okay, and I let go. Notice the extrude goes back to 0. Now if I sit here and go extrude, click, 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 every time I click and stop, it's going to create a new section of segments, and we want to minimize the amount of segments we have. Now I'm going to go ahead back into my vertex mode, maximize my top viewport, and manipulate these points to line up with the hand. I'm also going to go ahead and move these to match the creases in the hand. Once I'm done, I'm going to go back into polygon again. And notice when I hit polygon, it should highlight the original ones that I had selected. I'm going to go ahead and do that again. This time when I hold down extrude and I'm visually looking in my top viewport to eyeball up how far I want to go, I want to look at the number, and I'm going to stop right about there. Now that number right before I let go was about 15. I want to keep that in mind for next time, because next time I'm just going to type in 15 and not have to sit there and hold extrude. Again, maximize my viewport, go into vertex, and manipulate those parts to the hand. Now we do want to be careful here, because more vertices will give us more definition in the hand, but we may have to be concerned with polygon counts also. So don't go too crazy, because we may have to go and adjust some of these. The more segments you have, the more adjusting you'll have to do. Again, I'm going to go back in, switch from my vertex to my polygon mode. This time I'm going to type in 15. Notice what it did. It extruded to 15, which is where I wanted it. I can go back in, select my vertex, slide that over, and it's working out pretty good for me here. Again, we're not concerned about the thickness of the hand at this point. We're just worried about the profile straight on. One more time. This time I'm going to extrude another 15, but this time I'm going to actually have a little bit of a conflict here. I do not want to add anything to the thumb yet. This crease in the thumb is very important for me. So I'm going to click and I'm going to move this over here. We don't want to build the thumb yet, but we can bring these pieces over a bit and adjust them. Remember though, I'm keeping a straight line here, because every time I extrude, I want it to be a straight extrusion. Now I go back into polygon, I can see my red line there. I'm going to go ahead and extrude some more. I'm going to go right up to the point here where I have the edge of my thumb there. And I'm going to pull this vertice right there, and I'm going to work this one over here. Now this face between these points, we're no longer going to extrude. That's going to represent the inner part of our finger. However, I do want to line these couple up because the crease goes up further.